Hello everyone, this is Sebastian, aka PokerStars for PokerVIP.com, and today I'm back with my second part of my two-part video series on Titan Poker on the iPoker network. Glad you are back, and I guess without further ado, let's jump into the action and hope to get into a lot of interesting spots. King 10 with a few more equations planned I would open from MP. But not as a standard. A7 just gonna fold. Quite straightforward situations here. Always keeping the non-fold stackers and non-auto reloaders tagged as potential recreationals. Take it down with the 10-9, good result. The ace-10 is kind of close. I'm actually gonna opt to flat here, given his raise is relatively small with another recreational behind. I basically don't really want to 3-bet descent, but I also don't want to fold it. So I think flatting is my best option here, followed by 3-betting and then followed by folding. I think folding is the worst one. Ace-10 is definitely doing quite reasonable versus button opening range. Okay, we're gonna lead this turn relatively big because the big blind is gonna have a ton of worse ace-x than us, and he's never going to fold ace-x. We might even overbet some rivers. Yeah, like for example this complete break I'm going to opt to overbet because I think the recreational is never ever going to fold his ace. He could have an 8, we sometimes cut ourselves here, but for the most part he just has a worse ace and we're going to get maximum here. So snap folds might mean that he has at hand like a flush draw. But yeah, just gonna maximize the profit versus his worst ace-x, which he has a billion combinations of. Which I'm more never gonna fold to the small overbet. Uh, 10-9, pretty easy open. King 3, there's one recreational in the BB. Yeah, let's make a loose open, why not? Just gonna check this back. There's like pretty zero equity hands. We do pick up equity. If he checks, we're gonna bet. If he bets, we're gonna probably opt to fold. If he checks, we're gonna bet, and we're gonna probably also fire river for relatively. We might overbet river on a break. That's a card where we do have showdown value. Obviously, no spade is folding by him, and we beat any hand that isn't a one spade hand. So no reason to bet. With a win, good result. Okay, let's check what he had. Gonna assume it was some sort of one pair. It was. He also rivered a straight and he peeled to turn with 4-5 off hearts, which is pretty bad. Yeah. But I mean, that's just what you assume, I guess, from a weaker player then. Calling to white. Just gonna give up the ace-6 of spades here. Nothing really going on for us. Nothing at all. If it checks around again, I might overbet river on a brick. Just because I think I could get like almost like close to always a fold basically. Tagging this guy as weak. Checking and easy fold turn. Limp pot, we have 5 high. Nothing we can do there. For 5, I would open wider here versus recreation, but I'm not gonna opt to open for 5. We have an open in front of us anyway, so can't even do that. Facing the 3-bet, we're gonna fold here. The limp and an isolate, we're just gonna come along. We want to let the fish come in. We don't want to force the fish out. Not a good flop. Not a whole lot going on. Probably just check folding without a single spade in my hand at least. Versus min, the queen 3 is still too shit. I'm just gonna fold. Give me a somewhat better hand there, I obviously call, but queen 3 offsuit is not gonna make the cut for me. A bunch of easy folds. By the way, this part also will be around 30-35 minutes long. Roughly. The 7-8 is gonna go in. Yeah, just gonna go for a 3-bet here. Gonna make it a 1 BB smaller because he's not full stacked and yeah. That's reason. Limp UTG has to be a good player. Get cold forward on by a weaker player. He's gonna be pretty honest here. I'm like tempted to call in flop dream, but I think he's gonna be really honest here. Yeah, and he doesn't make it too small, he makes it pretty big still. So just gonna fold. He's not gonna be too wide, yeah, at all. Just checking down my ace high, trying to see a river for free. Bets half pot, this is like close-ish. I think we're gonna pee with the gut shot and the ace high in a limp pot. Kind of close, I guess. Pretty good river, just gonna let him bluff. If he wants to do so. Can't really fold my ace played. He can easily bluff. We could have a chop. Yeah, 10-high, no equity. Played him like a fiddle. That's really weak ace on the turn. I'm gonna just check. I'm tempted to bet for protection value, but it's just a bit too thin. Just gonna check down, I think. Really not a good run out. Kind of sad to fold the ace, but it's pretty hard for him to have enough bluffs there. Or for anyone basically. The king 8 off versus 3x, we're just gonna fold. Pretty hard to play hand, pretty weak hand, generally just gonna fold. 2 recreationals in front, gonna open really wide. Could probably min open, don't think they're gonna adjust at all, so probably min opening better here than 2.5xing. Also because the BP is like shorter, I wanna generally open on the smaller end. Gonna probably fold the queen deuce, even with the min. Not sure what the ace 4, depends on who opens. Probably will 3-bet. This box here is kind of annoying. The box is back, guys. The box. Yeah, I'm gonna 3-bet here to 160. And we're gonna sit out next big blind here and reopen this table because this box is driving me nuts. Just betting 1/3 here. His range will be relatively wide still. We're just gonna want basically to get the protection or take it down. It's like a value / protection bet for the most part. Just gonna fold now. This is a really good texture for my range. Gonna start by bluffing with my hands, and we have equity. Like we're treating our bottom pair as a draw basically to play our trips. Not the best turn to barrel. We're gonna check this and then delay barrel on the river to get him off some 7x pocket 8s, which he's usually gonna just check on the turn. I also have some equity to realize. So I don't see how much he has because of the box here, so I'm just gonna fold ace 5 and not squeeze. I'm gonna fold ace 4. I had some immediate fold equity on the flop and could have hit my 2 pair or something on the turn. Didn't happen, that's fine, just gonna give up. Obviously some percentage of the time folding the best hand here. By the way, 60 entries at 2 AM roughly. That's quite good. It's quite stable at like 50-60 entries. Let me set this table up. Give me a second. Yeah. Just give me a quick second while I just set it up. Sorry for that. But playing with that box is gonna drive me nuts and I can't do it. But now my gonna make the video a bit longer because of this inconvenience. I'm sorry, guys. Here we go. Now the table is loaded again. So this goes c-bet into raise huge, which is gonna fold. Okay, so the box is gone. I'm not sure what's causing that. Okay, I apparently won a free roll ticket. I'm not sure what's causing that. I guess it's like when I tag people, that box randomly comes up. But yeah. Guess it's worth it to just take the short time to remove it instead of just leaving it there. Because it's actually also bothering me by playing, because I don't see how how deep the stacks are of the guys if it's covering that. So I guess there you have a negative point about the side. It's at least a bit buggy. But yeah, that's not too annoying, I guess. We're betting king queen for mainly value here. The king 10 we can see with 1/3 or we can check. I'm going up to 1/3. Get cold here, not a big deal, just have to flop a pair. That's almost as good as a pair. Yeah, I'm gonna opt to see with my open-ender here. If he jams, I guess we have to get it in at that price point. The ace 8 I'm still gonna fold here, the hand is just too dominated. We could peel, it's not an awful peel, but out of position and pretty dominated hand. I'm just gonna opt to let it go. Yeah, take it down with the king queen, pretty good result here on a jack 10 board. Wouldn't assume to take it down that often, but glad to do so. Worst case is getting raised there, of course. Opening this beautiful hand on both tables. Opening this one here. Good old ace 10 offsuited from effectively cut off. We're gonna see what this. Focusing and targeting under lead pots. Just gonna let it go. Yes, we have a gut shot, but this is a pot lead. Our gut shot might not even be live. That's all we might yeah. With one diamond I would probably still peel, but without a diamond I can quite happily fold. The ace queen on the left hand table is close. We can forward or call. I'm gonna just go ahead and call this time. No read on villain. Just gonna take the more standard line, which is just flat, flop a pair, go from there. We don't have a heart in our hand either, so we'll probably end up check folding. Especially with pot size bet. 7-9 suited we could 3-bet, but I'm gonna just call it. And on the flop I might go for a check raise. Not with this sizing. With this sizing I'm gonna call once, try to turn the nuts, and go from there. Even the flop call is already marginal. We could probably fold flop and it's not awful. We do turn the nuts though, so that's that. So we hit the gin and he should pot it again usually. That's half pot. We're gonna raise to sizing where we can jam rivers, which is about $5. If we raise to $5, there will be around 10, 13.50 in, and we're gonna have we're gonna have a pot size bet left on the river. He calls. This river might cost us action because every 7 is making a straight draw, but at the same time, if he does have a 7, we're gonna get the money. And he might call with other hands as well. Calls, it's good. Here we're gonna 4-bet the aces to roughly about $4, I think. It's my sizing of choice. Gonna go for $4, yep. And gonna sit out both tables and look what he had. And focus on the aces hand. He did have the 2 pair, which snap calls river. Okay. His c-bet pot on the flop is pretty bad. We were gonna call with the aces, we were on the ace king, pretty favorable result. He's drawing for a chop, he's drawing for the win. What we hold? I wasn't expecting to hold that one, somehow. Pretty good result. So yeah, the 5-6, I'm just gonna take him as a weaker player because there's really no texture he wants to pot with his hand. I mean, I don't know. Guess he blocks his set, but still. And then on the turn he sizes down, I don't know. Just overall play this hand pretty bad, I think. So yeah, win 2 stacks there. Can't complain too much about that. But yeah, as you see, like the 4 straight rolls off and he still snap calls his hand. That's what I meant. Like, it might cost us action, but usually not really. And yeah, with the aces, I mean, his play is also pretty fine with the ace king now. Flop is set here versus a BB. He's gonna have a lot of like Jack 10 type of holdings, which are never gonna fold. Or like King 10, King 9, which are never gonna fold. So I'm just gonna bet quite big here. Get let into on this board. I'm gonna value protection raise my hand. I think my hand is quite often good here. I think I get a lot out of protection, and I think at this stack that we can just get it in versus his stack, versus $7 stack, if he wants to get it in. On the turn, I guess I don't know. We would generally fold to a reasonable lead here, but him like getting 10 to 1, we also have the gotcha to the 6, which gives us basically the nuts. We're gonna call. And we're gonna fold river. We're gonna just check back and pray to God we ever beat like, I don't know, King 5 suited. Don't know how we're good here, but somehow we are. What the fuck do we beat? Is it actually King 5 suited or something? King 5 offsuited, I mean, that was close. Yeah. But yeah, as you can see, we got the value on the flop. If he wants to get it in with his hand, we're totally fine with that. He has a lot of equity, yes, but just, yeah, versus a flop lead, we can just quite comfortably raise our 7s. I would rather raise 7s here than aces on the flop. But yeah. Not a turn. I mean, that's the thing. He's just sometimes leading some garbage like this, so we can't really full turn, getting 10 to 1. Also, we effectively have a double gut shot. I mean, yes, on the ace we only play the board, but on the 6 we have like basically the nuts. And obviously sometimes the 7 is good, and I mean, reasonably often we have the best hand. 6-8 gonna be a fold. It's gonna be a fold. Pocket, the ladies again, and another pocket girl. The ladies and a lot of short stackers in front of us. That's something we do like to see. I'm gonna squeeze here to about 180. Squeezing relatively big, checking back the 6s, going for a showdown if he allows me to. Squeezing relatively big with the queens. One fold, okay. Still hoping this guy calls or back raises or whatnot. Still checking down the 6s. Could bet turn small, that's an option, but don't have to. Should win the 6s. Oh, he has top pair, that should bet turn. Pretty static board, like pretty unexciting board. Like if he has an ace, he has us crushed, and if he doesn't have an ace, we have him crushed for the most part. I don't really need a lot of protection with my hand, so I'm gonna just check this back and go for a pot control game. I could see bet 1/3, that's a fine option. Also can check back, try to let him hit a pair of like 10-9, or let him like spaz on the turn with like some sort of random hands. Just gonna bet turn relatively small. I don't think he has a lot of ace-x, checking flop and checking turn. Also splitting small when he probably doesn't have a lot of ace-x. So I'm gonna target hand like a 10 and like pocket 8s. Might go for another value bet on a river, might not. It's a pretty good river. We block a diamond as well. Hopefully he doesn't lead. Like, if he leads small, I probably have to call. But he leads pot, so we have the easiest fold in the history of folds. It's like, that doesn't need a lot of discipline to fold that. Isolating ace king quite big because we were also 2 blinds deep. And generally isolating pretty big is what I do. Yeah, it's not a happy result of the queens, but you know, it's fine. Might have even value bet river if he checks, because that's the thing. If he has a good hand, he might just lead, and once he checks, I think he quite often has a 10 there, and we can get him to call a 10 if we bet like 30% or something. Betting my gut shot here. He has a lot of 8x and 9x in there. I'm just gonna give this one up. We could get him off some queen highs and so on the turn, but it's also quite protected, yes. So not really a range I want to dance with. So gonna just give up then. A6 probably gonna see a flop. Pocket fours also probably gonna see a flop. Not gonna isolate here. kind of weird flop. He checks. Okay, I'm gonna just lead small versus like his high cards, get some protection. In a limp pot, I think I'm allowed to do that. And now I'm gonna just check and hope to win versus king high. That's what we probably do. Get some high cards. Yeah, he has a flush draw as well and queen high, so quite reasonably played. I mean, his turn play was reasonable. Flop and yeah, I don't know. The rest of that was pretty badly played by him. We're gonna fold our top pair here, him leading for overpot into two players on this like quite connected board. Not something we're gonna fuck with. $7-10, gonna defend. Might raise a flop C, but if he bets like half pot, I'm gonna raise him. Got some reasonable backdoors. He bets off pot. Yeah, I'm gonna raise him. Got some reasonable backdoors, got some immediate fold equity. Just gonna flat the ace jack here. Yeah, good turn. That's like one of the worst turns to barrel the 3. Pretty bad turn to bluff. Just gonna give up my hands. Yeah, I'm gonna raise this to $1. Here I'm gonna realize my leftover equity, okay? I'm gonna raise this to $1 on the turn. Probably could go bigger even than $1. 4 straight. He has a bunch of 9x. It's hard to get called. He also connects with some 2-pairs on the river. I'm just gonna check now. Usually winning here though. But it's, I think, too thin for value on the 4 straight. What I'm gonna do here is quite interesting. We don't block spades, so I'm gonna just bet like really tiny, like $1. And just trying to get him off spades. Basically trying to get him off high cards. I don't think he ever folds a pair versus this. I think he might fold some ace king high with 1 spade or like a flush draw. You see, we bet 1/5 pot and just take it down. Think about how often a 1/5 pot has to work there. Like, obviously not a lot. And yeah, it just fulfills the purpose of him getting him off a higher draw. Basically, if you do want to consider our hand a draw. Defending here for min. Opening. Ace 9 as well. So the bluff has to work, what, 17% of the time there. Like, how can, that's just the thing, I just think 17% of his flop c-bet call range will fold there. Especially once we do unblock his spades. Folding the ace high there, I could peel ace 9, but you know, maybe I should peel ace 9 there. It's close, I think. Yeah. 3-betting the aces here if he opens, gonna 3-bet a bit bigger because we're 2 blinds deep. Okay, mate. He limps. Yeah, I'm gonna isolate pretty big here because we're so deep, and yeah, just gonna try to get the maximum value pre-flop. Generally people are not limp rolling a lot, but yeah. I mean, I don't make it that massive. I mean, I make it like 7x there. It's quite reasonable. Also, you can make the argument with the 7-10 that, like, on the river he's just gonna lead his like good hand. Like a lot of his good hands are gonna lead river, right? In the 7-10 of clubs hand. Like his good queen X are gonna lead. His boards are usually gonna lead. His overpairs are gonna lead. Which just leaves him with like some bluff catchers, like I don't know, pocket jacks or something, or like a really weak queen, like queen 5 or whatnot, and with a lot of spades. So makes a lot of sense to go for a small sizing there, because his bluff catchers are not going to fold to any sizing basically, right? So why would we size up bigger? The only thing we want to achieve is get him off high cards. Opening the pocket 3s quite happily. The ace king, we can 1/3, we can check call. I'm gonna see what 1/3. If he raises, I'm probably gonna peel. 3-raise situation with the 3 is just gonna check. On this turn, we can either overbet or check call. I think I like a check call. I don't imagine we have a lot of fold equity on this turn. But by checking, we can induce some bluffs from hand like ace jack, ace 10, and We also don't get raised, which is good. And river, we're gonna check raise all in. He can have some worse flushes. He's still gonna bet his sets. He might check back in like 8s, but I'm not about to lead that river just because I think he checks back 8s, because is he gonna call 8s if we lead? Don't know. Seems questionable. And he just has a 3, which is probably not gonna call, which is even more likely to turn into a bluff, I guess. But he would also not fold the turn there, so. I mean, maybe if we overbet, he folds turn. So that's what I said, like either we overbet or we check call. So I guess an overbet could have worked there reasonably well. Because we do want to target hands like his, so 5, 6s, 4s. But I basically think our hand is too strong to bluff. That's the main takeaway there on the turn. I actually think our hand is too strong to bluff. He min opens, we are 2 blinds deep, so I'm actually going to make a really wide flat here on the button, because it's a min open and we are 2 blinds deep and I have a nut ace. Right? So basically trying to flush over flush him and win a 4-blind pot. He bets 1 big blind. We can float or we can raise. I think I'm going to raise. I think we have a decent bit of fold equity, we have some backdoors to follow. Yeah. Like on the 4 or 5 we turn a straight draw on the queen, or king we turn a straight draw effectively. And on a diamond we obviously turn a flush draw. And our ace is reasonably likely to be live. I just think we have a decent bit of fold equity on flop. Calling is obviously also totally fine. Folding is not. The 10's gonna go for a 3-bet, gonna go for a squeeze as well. Gonna go for $3 here. And gonna 3-bet the 9s here as well. He calls, pretty good flop generally. Gonna see with 1/3. Hopefully, I don't know, I think I take a fold here. Raise would be the worst. Fold would be, I think, the best. Pretty bad turn. He can definitely fold a lot of ace highs, and we can't really get ever value out of like 8s on. Here we're gonna see with 1/3 versus a button calling range. And here we're gonna check and hope to win versus 8s and 9s. Yep, still trying to beat 6s, 8s, 9s, something like that. With the 9s we're gonna check down and try to beat 8s and 6s as well. And yeah, with the 10s we still have showdown value, so we're not gonna bluff. He can easily have a jack, he can easily have a speed here. So we're also not gonna call. Easy fold with the 9s on the diamond turn. Easy fold on with the 10s. He can still have an ace, he can still have a jack. Pretty standard hands, in my opinion. I'm not gonna 3-bet ace 8 because he's short and I don't want to get jammed on. I do want to see a flop, however. This is close. With a backdoor flush I would peel. Out of backdoor flush I'm just gonna fold. 10-7, no recreational or no known recreational in front, just gonna fold. Ace 3, gonna overlimp. Queen jack, gonna just fold. Not a good flop. King queen, probably will 3-bet or open. Yeah, gonna 3-bet. For value slash protection slash merge. Checking the turn with the ace 3 probably will overbet river if it checks again. Not sure about that. Depends. We can also improve to a flush. I don't know, ace high should have showdown value here. I'm just gonna check down my showdown value. I could overbet. I do think I could have a 7 occasionally. I don't know. Just think we have showdown value. The kings, table full of recreationals, quite happy. The 4-6 would have folded, so would have been a hand where it works against. Usually 70, 140, 280. Gonna make it $3 here roughly. Yep. Obviously gonna stack off a few 4-bets. I could fold to I could 3-bet the 3s, could peel the 3s, but I'm gonna just fold. The 4-bets we're gonna just jam it in happily. He calls, we're gonna take a flop. Hopefully it's not an ace high flop. But even though those we can win. If he folds, that's not so happy, but it's okay. I can live with that result. As said, I'm gonna make this part a bit longer because we also had a bit of a disturb. We got disturbed. Whatever. I wanted to say disruption, but I'm not sure if that's even the correct word. We're gonna call you versus a regression. Yeah, okay, disruption was the correct word. I just wasn't 100% confident if it would be the correct word, so I googled. With the backdoor flush and a pair and two pair outs and the three pair outs. No, the trip outs, we're just gonna peel and take a turn. That's generally a good turn, but I don't know. A few pots again, I can't take the heat, I'm gonna fold. He checks, that's interesting. I think we're actually gonna go for... this is close. I actually think I'm gonna go for a 1/3 bet to secure a river check and to get value on protection here. Basically, versus hands like Queen Jack, I want to protect. And maybe he peels some ace eyes, obviously there's some value to be had. And I don't want him to reopen the action with another pot size bet, and yeah. Obviously this might induce spares occasionally. I'm gonna take that risk here. And we can quite easily get called by some high cuts there. Bottom pair and a gut shot, it was bet call, but it's a mini bet. We get 5-1. I think I call getting 5-1. Don't know. These bit of recreationals in front of. Yeah, I'm gonna open this. Pretty loose open. Another mini bet. When we get like 8-1, I don't think I can fold getting 8-1. Just can't do it. I mean, yes, our gut shot is pretty bad, but like still we have a pair, two pair outs, triple outs, potentially at least. Don't know, folding. But folding turn would have been okay as well. C-betting 5 board, you have the king 10, pretty good blockers, have nut out, have implied to the hit, can get him off ace high immediately. With the sixes, a lot of players would just opt to always isolate the sand. I don't think it's bad to isolate the sand, but I'm trying to implement an overlimping strategy in these spots, and I want to take some weak pairs there. Like, I don't want to create a balanced overlimping strategy. I just want to do it with hands that are incentivized to do so, which I do think sixes is reasonably incentivized to overlimp instead of isolating. While hand like 8s or 9s is incentivized to isolate for value, the weaker pairs don't really get a lot of value, and it's quite hard to play them post-flop on most boards. Also, isolating is, meaning of isolating is that we're gonna get a heads up versus the fish, and generally the population is still gonna press call behind us a ton of the time, so the isolate is not gonna overly work a ton of the time. The fours, it's an interesting spot. We can see we can get him off 5, 6s, 7s, 8s. We also, yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. That's, I think, what I'm gonna do. Just c-bet and get him off. Basically, c-betting is bluff here. Also, we get him off a hand like 9-8, 6-7, which has a bunch of equity versus us. I get him off a hand like ace-5 of spades, which also has a bunch of equity versus us. So it's a bet with a lot of purposes. I wouldn't bet 7s there because I beat a lot of the pairs, but 4s just doesn't really beat a lot of the pairs, so I decide to throw it into the c-bet. As a type of merge, to be quite honest. That's just a merge. Call it what you want to call it, basically. Defending here for min with the ace-deuce, opening queen 10, quite standard stuff. Calling a c-bet, generally calling 2 streets with the ace-deuce and then folding rivers. On this turn, this gets a bit different because we actually do pick up a lot of equity with a lot of hands. That's interesting. I think I want to lead this because I don't think I'm beat that often, but I think he has a reasonable amount of king highs, which I do want to get value of. So I'm going to lead for 1/3. Just folds, it's okay. Gut shot, backdoor flush draw, overcard. Happy to c-bet. Get min raised, happy to call. The 10 is the nuts. Backdoor clubs are pretty nutted. It's not a good turn. Queen is also a pretty good turn, of course. Deuce of hearts is one of the worst turns, easy folds. He basically min 3 bets here. I already check him as a weaker player. I mean, it's not a min, but it's way too small. Don't imagine this guy's a rag, so I'm gonna happily call. Pretty good flop. Completing after Queen 8. Pretty good flop as well. Calling the 9-8. Probably calling 2 streets and folding river. Depends on the turn, of course. That's a good turn. He checks. We're gonna c-bet. We're gonna call with the Queen High flush draw here. Not turning additional equity. We can't really turn additional equity here. I'm gonna bet about half pot here and then trying to stack some of his tens or something. Folding the Queen High flush draw here. Could quite easily be dominated, and yeah, just don't get odds basically. And with the 9-8, I think the only thing that calls us as played is an ace. If we go big, and I want to get all the money from an ace, so I'm gonna shove this in. I don't think tens are gonna call on the ace rivers, so I'm gonna target a hand like ace 10 of hearts, ace 5, ace king high, something like that. I don't think tens is generally gonna call a river bet. To target tens, we would need to bet like 1/3, which is then passing on a ton of value if he happens to have an ace. And the recreation will have an ace there more often than you think. So basically I want to maximize versus ace x, which I'm never going to fold ever. I want to pot control this ace here in the multi-way scenario. And yeah, just too hard to get called by like tens and like 9-10. And then yeah, we could try to target those hands by 1/3ing, but then we just pass on a lot of EV if he has an ace. And who knows, maybe he calls overbet with tens because he thinks we're so polar and blah blah blah. But this is a bad call. I'm gonna do a really nitty fold. Ibra is, I think, a rag. So I think his small blind flatting range will generally have me crushed here and have not a bunch of. Yeah, I think I wish I can fold this really weak ace versus a bad call there. Pretty tight fold, but I think it's correct. Going to squeeze the king jack here. Mainly for value. Pretty good answer. I'll try to see what I had in the ace 3 hands if they allow me to. Interesting spot here in the 3-way scenario. Gonna decide to check. Squeezing the ace king, of course. Versus a bet call, I have a pretty easy fold. Versus a big bet and a snap call, I have a pretty easy fold. Versus just a bet, I would call. Here we're gonna go for around 240, squeezing quite happily. Trying to get it in with the button. Okay. Yeah. Can I see what they had in the ace 3 hand? There's no way to like go to the next move, I think, at least. Folding a lot of bunch of random hands. Trying to figure out what they had in the ace 3 hand while I sit out at the next big blind. I'm also going to wrap it up here shortly. So yeah, on this turn, I just think his range, like with both ranges, we're just not doing too good with the ace 3. I would rather have hand like 6-7 there than ace 3. Yeah, and it goes check and bet big, so pretty sure we were pretty doomed there. And the 10 cent. What happened in the 10 cent? I mean, the 10 cent was a pretty trivial fold, don't really need to look at it more. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Maybe leave a comment if you liked the Zoom format more than like the rectangles. And yeah, so far I'm pretty glad with this, with the overall, yeah, with my overall image of Title Poker so far. Quite pleased with the site, quite pleased with the layout, quite pleased with the quality. Yes, it's a bit buggy. It's, I guess some points it's a bit buggy, but overall it's quite good, quite solid, I'd say. And yeah, player pool seems really soft. Not a whole lot to complain about here. So, hope you got a lot of interesting things to think about from this video. And yeah, leave a comment, leave a like, and see you at the next video series. Have a nice day. Bye bye.